So, Halle, as a patient with HRHS, how much do you know about HLHS?
I actually know quite a bit because my condition is so rare, having HRHS, that HLHS was always used as an example, kind of in like, oh, this is what HLHS patients experience. So this is what, like side effects that they have with this medication because there's not enough people with mine to compare me to. So I kinda grew up learning more about y'all's condition at times than I did my own.
That's so interesting because, like, actually, I know you can attest to this as well. Like, I don't know anything about HRHS. Like, I've heard of it.
Mhm.
I've heard that it's rarer. I've also heard that HLHS is like more severe. I don't know how
Mhm.
like accurate that is, but I know that
Yeah.
I find it so interesting that it's more severe, but yet it's more common than HRHS.
I know, that was my big thing too, is I was like, "Okay, if it's more severe, then why are more people able to pass on that gene if" so on and so forth.
Right, and HRHS has the same surgeries as
Mhm.
HLHS, right?
Yes.
So it's still the Norwood, the
And
Glenn,
the
and then the
Glen and
Fontan.
Fontaine, yeah.
Okay, but you've had a few more surgeries than us, right? We both
Yes.
Ashley and I have both had 3 surgeries, so you've had
Yeah.
6, is that correct?
Yes, I've had 6. So I had the Norwood, the Glen, and the Fontaine, and then, it was after my Glenn procedure, I, had to have my chest scraped so I wouldn't go septic because I started to get an infection, and then whenever I was 5, I started declining, and so they put a, epicardial pacemaker into my abdomen and linked it up to my heart, and then when I was 14, my lead snapped, so I had to have a total replacement of that pacemaker, which both of those resulted in a full sternotomy and reattaching my leads and everything.
So, before we get into the full, like, open heart at 14,
Yeah.
I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you had your surgeries done, what are you currently doing now?
So I'm Halle. I had all my surgeries at Arkansas Children's Hospital, and right now I'm a biotechnology student, and I'm on the pre-medical track. So
Awesome. That's so cool. We're so glad that you can join us. I'm so excited to finally start having guests on where we can talk with
yeah, I'm
others
excited to
with
be here.
different congenital heart diseases and other, we're hoping to have parents on as well soon and stuff. And I know that the parents who watched episode 1, we got some great feedback of like people who were watching
Awesome.
it in the hospital, like just at night, like with their kid and stuff. It was just the response from it was just absolutely incredible. So I'm so excited to be able to start talking to more people and just really grow the community and just have these conversations that I think will really impact a lot of parents for sure. I definitely want to see. I've had a bunch of patients reach out as well. That I'm just so excited to be able to have all these conversations. So let's get a little deeper into the 6 open heart surgeries because we don't have pacemakers, and so I'm interested to know, like I'm also very interested that we don't remember our surgeries at all because we both had
Mhm.
our last open heart was when I was 2. Ashley, I assume yours was around the same time?
Yeah, I was 3 years old,
Yeah. So, like,
so
we don't have any memory of that, so since your last one was at 14, I'm so curious to know, like, what do you remember from it? Going into it, were you nervous? Afterwards, what was the recovery like? Stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I would definitely say I'm nervous. Obviously, I think more so the fact that it was going to be painful whenever I woke up because all the bruising, like, your sternum being opened and all of that. I mean, it feels like a broken bone at the center of your torso. Um, and so I think that was more of a fear thing for me than the actual concept of like, okay, something bad's gonna happen during my surgery because my procedure was relatively minor. I mean, they were just opening me up, putting the pacemaker in my stomach, and then attaching it, to my heart. So, it wasn't nerve-wracking in that aspect. I did wake up in a lot of pain. Um, I was very frustrated, and I remember a lot of it and a lot of the pain. It's kinda like something you're not really gonna forget, but you'll have to do it again eventually because with my pacemaker, I'll have to at least have my abdomen reopened to, replace my pacemaker batteries, if not the entirety of my leads, so
I I love how you started that by saying what you were doing was minor, and then they're like, "Oh, all you have to do is just cut open my chest," and I was like, "Oh,
I
that's
say
just not
minor.
how you." That's
Yeah.
so funny how you described it, but no, that's I guess I didn't expect there to be such a lot of pain afterwards, but I guess that makes sense. You just got your whole
Mhm.
chest ripped open, so,
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
you have
but
your
I
rib pain in the side, and then your stomach hurts, and then, too, what had happened is my chest tube got lodged weird, and so whenever they pulled it out, it collapsed my lung. That was definitely probably the worst pain I felt,
oh
but,
oh my
you know,
goodness. Wait, so
um
that was
Wait, that
during the same
hurt.
procedure?
so I was awake whenever they took it out, like, you're awake whenever they take out chest tubes. And they were like, "Okay, pump your morphine," and I clicked my little button, and they let it sit for a minute, and they pulled it out, and they didn't realize it was lodged wrong, and so it hit my lung. Yeah.
So actually, you're, like, nodding your head over there. You're like, "What is going through
Yeah.
your mind?"
I mean, well, I mean, I've learned about this in school. Like, that's crazy. Chest tubes are
Mhm,
not really a force to be reckoned with. They're very
mhm.
fragile. So, I
Yeah,
mean, I can only imagine the things that probably went wrong when that
yeah.
happened to you. So, obviously, I've never experienced it myself, but I mean, it sounds really scary and really intense, and especially at that young age. You've probably
Yeah.
never really been exposed to pain like that before in your life, so that was
No,
probably, like, a whole
not
new, like,
yeah,
scary thing
yeah.
to
So
happen.
what
That's
happened
crazy.
yeah, so, like, what happened what did they do when that
Yeah.
happened? Because that sounds
Um,
like another
I had to go through the process of reinflating my lung, basically, so they
Mhm.
gave me, like, the breathing tube to, like, try and get my lung power back and all of that, which is hard already because my chest has just been opened and I have a bunch of bruising there, so breathing in general is already pretty difficult. Um, so they had me do the breathing exercises, gave me a couple breathing treatments, helped out quite a bit, and I mean, it was back pretty quickly, like, it wasn't a terrible, like, collapse, it was a partial, um, so it was easier to get over than another one.
it still sounds like that's obviously so terrifying, even if it's a partial collapse, like, I've always heard, like, just
Mhm.
scares of those, and that just
Mhm.
sounds awful. I'm glad it wasn't anything
No,
worse, but it
it's
was
not really as bad as it sounds, I feel like.
okay.
Like, it hurt in the moment, but the recovery process, it sucked a little bit, but it wasn't terrible.
So, speaking of recovery process, how long was the recovery period till you felt, like, normal again after the surgeries? Because I haven't
Um
experienced that before.
Yeah. So obviously with my pacemaker stuff, I wasn't put on bypass. So that already makes an easier recovery. Um, and so I got out of the hospital after 4 days. I got out on New Year's Eve, went home and celebrated New Year's. And then it took me 2 weeks, and then I went back to school.
Wow, okay. So was
Yeah.
there I mean, I assume you're on a bunch of painkillers and stuff at this time, or are you like
No, I don't like taking hard painkillers, I just don't like the way that they make me feel. So I was on oxycodone for the first little bit, so I took that for the first 2 days, and then after that, it was ibuprofen and Tylenol, like,
okay,
rotating.
yeah. So was there much pain after the 4 days, or was it just
I mean, yeah, I couldn't move, like, you're not allowed to lift a certain amount of weight, you can't push up with your hands,
Mhm.
all of that stuff, so you rely mostly on your legs. Um So, I mean, it's still painful to do things and with all the bruising and just the tension in your chest, but it wasn't unbearable, I guess I should say. Like, I could still walk around, but I had a pillow like this against my chest whenever I'd walk and everything, just for comfort.
yeah,
Really scary.
that's so interesting. I haven't talked to anyone else who's had a major open heart surgery that they can remember, so,
Yeah.
um, this is very this is very interesting. It's not very cool, it's very interesting to know. Um, but then we were talking last week how you've had some, like, episodes after
Mhm.
these surgeries. I don't know if it was caused because of these surgeries, or how did these fainting or TIAs start
Mhm.
happening?
Yeah, so they have not found any correlation, with these surgeries, and my fainting issues. I will say after my surgery, I grew 3 inches, because I had a brand new pacemaker in, and apparently that got my blood going and, made me really tall. And so that's whenever I believe my issues started happening because I had grown so much, my body was adjusting, and also me being 5'10", 5'11", too tall to have, Fontan circulation, according to my doctors. And so I started having, syncope episodes. They were very minor, like, I'd get, um, hot, sweat, like, then a cold sweat, and then I'd black out, fall asleep, then come back within a minute. So it wasn't anything, like, extremely concerning. It wasn't until last year that I had what my cardiologist suspects to be a TIA. Um, so I had my fainting episode. I told my mom, I was like, "Hey, I'm about to go out," because I know a little bit before. But this time I, like, convulsed a little bit whenever I went out, and I woke up with a really bad headache, um, and just, like, really couldn't say my words. I wasn't very coherent, which is very different to how I usually am. And so we got into the ambulance because my mom recognized that it was different. Um, and I was headed to the hospital. I tried to lift my arm, to move it with my IV in, and my arm did not move. And then I started to be like, okay, I can't feel my arm. That's cool. Um, and then I started feeling the rest of my right side go numb. Um, and I looked at my mom and I said, "We've gotta go, I'm having a stroke." Granted, I'd had a stroke after my Glenn procedure as well. And it was a major one. It was my entire left side. They told me I would never be able to, talk again. My vocal cords were paralyzed. And so whenever I felt it and I knew I'd had one in the past, I was like, "Okay, here we go. Like, it's gonna happen again." And my family has a horrible history with strokes in general. Um, so I started yelling at the EMT driver that I was having a stroke and that we needed to go. Um, we got to the hospital. Took a while for somebody to get into the room. So, um, they never found the clot, but my feelings started to come back in my leg and arm, so I was like, "Okay." Um, but they didn't do a CT with contrast, they just did a plain CT, and if there's a little clot that you would get from a mini stroke, you're not gonna be able to see that, without contrast or an MRI. So, I can't have an MRI because of my pacemaker, so they never found if it was confirmed to be a stroke, but my cardiologist is very confident that it was. They diagnosed me with the seizure whenever I left, so that's
Wow,
that story. Yeah.
that's insane. That's, so these fainting episodes, are they still happening now?
So I had my Fontan stented. I was the 4th one that they did it to at Arkansas Children's Hospital, this past December, and it was just in cath lab. Um, and it was obviously successful. I didn't have to be opened again. And I haven't really noticed them as much. I still have dizzy spells, in episodes where I feel like maybe, but I think now that my Fontan is widened out to 18 millimeters instead of the 12 that it was, because it's 18 millimeters whenever it originally gets put in, um, I think my circulation has gotten a lot better, a lot more consistent, and is kind of stopping my blood from getting stuck in my legs or for me forming clots or something of that magnitude.
Okay. Well, that's good that they're not happening anymore because that sounds
Yeah.
insane. I haven't had a stroke or anything even close to that. Actually, I don't know
Mhm,
if you've had anything similar.
No, I mean, for me, circulation was never really a problem, which I'm lucky because I know that there's a lot of small issues that can turn into big dangerous things really quickly. So, but
mhm.
yeah, that was not really anything that
I
Yep.
affected me.
I find the circulation to be interesting because, like, I always talk about when it gets cold, like, I can't feel my fingers or my toes, like, they
Mhm,
go numb pretty much,
mhm.
and I wonder how that is for you being as tall as you are, like, how does it is it able to get everywhere? Is the blood able to get everywhere, or how does that work for you?
Um, Most of the time, I cannot feel like it's gotten to the point where if I'm too cold, I can't feel my entire foot. So a lot of the time, I will sit on my feet to get the circulation back there. Um, my fingers, it goes to like here, so it's not just like the tips; it's my entire fingers. Um, so that's where I think the circulation differs. It's just like how far up does it make it, before it's too far for my heart to handle. But a lot of the time, um, I guess because my legs are longer than my torso, my feet don't get the right amount of circulation, so it's my entire feet instead of, like, maybe just my toes or something like that.
Mm,
Yeah, that's so interesting. Actually, do you
mm,
struggle
mm.
with circulation like this?
That's not really a thing for me now. And that's surprising to hear you guys both say that because that's not
Mhm,
ever been a problem for me. So
mhm,
that's so odd.
It's so interesting
Like
how
I've never heard anyone say that.
I was talking to I can't remember who I was talking to, but we were saying how, like, HLHS is like a blanket, I mean HRHS, but then inside of that, there's so many different conditions.
mhm.
Like, Ashley and I are very similar in our conditions, yet then we have completely different things with circulation and stuff like that, which is so interesting. Have you noticed that in HRHS as well? Like, have you talked to anyone else with HRHS that you can see the differences like that? Or
I'm gonna be honest, I've never met somebody with HRHS. Ever.
oh,
Not even
wow,
spoken to anyone. I've never found anybody with HRHS.
that's so
Some
interesting.
somebody just recently added me on Instagram who had HRHS, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's crazy." But she's in her 30s. I was like, "Okay." Not sure if I should, like, reach
Mm.
out or, like, but now we
Yeah,
follow each other, so
That
first
and
could be
person I know.
nice though.
that's so interesting because you're the first person that we've talked to with, or that I've talked to with
Mhm,
HRHS. So, like I've always heard of it, but I've never, like,
mhm.
I always knew it was like a sister condition, obviously, but it's
Yeah,
rarer, and I've heard it's not as severe. But
yeah. I have the evil
after
twin, you guys have the eviler twin. That's what
right,
I've always heard from my doctors, yeah.
Wait, I thought yours was supposed to be the worst one.
No, y'all's is worse because your ventricle fights gravity.
yeah,
Mhm,
yeah,
yeah.
Well, I
So
always thought it was worse for you because I've never seen a heart in real life. But on like an anatomy diagram of a heart, it looks like the right ventricle is bigger than the left. So I was like,
mhm,
oh, like if you're missing the right ventricle, that's probably worse than missing a left ventricle. Like in my head, I
mhm.
always thought HRHS would be a lot
No.
more severe.
Mm.
So for HLHS patients, we have to be very cautious of something that is called Fontan-associated liver disease, which
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah.
goes with like not getting the oxygenated blood to the like perfusing and other organs. Is that a thing for you with your condition? Because it's kind of
Yes.
opposite of mine. So
Yes,
has that ever been a problem for you at all?
yeah, I actually have my liver's not great at the moment. Like, I have a lot of liver problems, which whenever you have a liver ultrasound in Fontan patients, it always
Mhm,
overestimates the amount of fibrosis or stiffness that you have in your liver,
mhm,
just because of the congestion that your liver will have. And
mhm,
so right now mine measures at stage F3, um, so stage 3 liver fibrosis, which is a step away from full-on, liver fat or liver cirrhosis. Um, but because it overestimates, they're not as concerned about it right now, and they're just gonna keep monitoring my liver enzymes because they say they're great right now.
Mm, that's good.
Yeah.
I also have my liver is very closely monitored. I get MRIs twice a year. I've
Mhm.
never had an issue with it, but I've definitely been lectured on the symptoms and
Mhm.
the possibilities of what that might look like. So that's always been scary to me, and I've never really like been able to ask anyone else about that because I guess like no one can relate. But I just think it's interesting, kind of hearing it from the opposite perspective
Yeah.
of like
No,
how
we
two different conditions affect that same thing.
yeah, Fontan circulation period, like, no matter what condition has the Fontan
Mhm.
circulation, like, their
Yeah.
liver just is not great and struggles a little bit, so
Mine's fine.
It's congrats.
yeah,
I
round of
I
applause.
yeah, I haven't had any
Mhm.
issues with my liver so far, so hopefully that stays up,
Yeah.
but
Mm,
where
I
did
mean,
that
that's
come
also
from?
the thing. Like, I was just curious because I was like, I know it's a thing for left heart patients. So, I mean, I was assuming it would be the same for right heart patients, which obviously it
mhm,
is. We all have Fontan circulation, so I don't know why it wouldn't be. But I've never had problems with it because I'm very closely monitored. But I was just wondering what that actually might look like for someone who might actually be experiencing that. Because it's never
mhm,
been a problem for me. So I just didn't know how serious it could actually present itself.
mhm.
And I mean, it's scary, but I feel like you're doing relatively well, I think, for a heart patient. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think we all are. So,
Yeah, there's only so much you
yeah,
can do, and as long as you do what your doctors tell you to, you'll be fine.
really just take my meds and do what I'm told.
Yeah, and if I have a
Um,
problem, I'm gonna tell them.
Yeah, that's crazy
so
though.
no, that's interesting talking about the liver. I have literally I had like a we talked to my cardiologist last time I was there, like, "Why are we not monitoring my liver more?" And he's like, "Oh, no, we
Mhm.
are." Like, he's like, "We had a scan done however many years
You're
ago." He's
not
like, "You're
about it.
fine." I was like, "Okay."
Years
So,
ago,
yeah,
I
I
get
was
it
like, "You don't
every
wanna get
6
up to date?"
months. Are you
that's
kidding?
that's so fun. Yeah, I
That's
nothing.
crazy. I did a biopsy one time. They never did that to you?
Mm-mm.
In the
I
cath
haven't
lab,
had a
I had a liver
biopsy.
biopsy. I don't think there was, like, a problem going on that I know of. I was, like, 13 or 14, and it was 10 years after my Fontan. So they were doing all the things, making sure I was healthy, and I had a heart cath and a liver Fontan, a liver biopsy at the same time.
Yeah.
And obviously, at the time, I didn't know what it was for, but now that I'm an adult and I actually look at things, I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, so, like, that could have been a problem," but I had no
Yeah.
idea because I was a teenager, but that's so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Well,
I wanted to get into the the service dog a little bit because the fainting
Oh,
hasn't what
come here.
what does she do to help you?
So, which she's still in training right now. Aria, come. Thank you. This is Aria. So, um, she, will eventually be able to do, cardiac alert, um, where she will detect whenever my blood gets stuck in my legs and can't make it back up, because I do have a lot of swelling. They do turn purple whenever that happens and all of that. Um, you have a question? Yeah?
um, do you have do you have peripheral vascular disease?
I've never been diagnosed with it, no, but I have varicose
Uh,
veins. Mhm.
hmm,
I've been
okay.
diagnosed with venous pull. That's what they call it whenever because it pulls down into your
You
legs.
know, yeah, that makes more sense.
Mhm.
It's so interesting. Anyways,
Yeah.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
but yeah, so she'll be there, if I have another TIA where I have that, like, paralysis and stuff and can't move, she's gonna be able to go and get help for me, if I send her off. if I'm disoriented after having like, before I'm about to have an episode or after I've had an episode, she's gonna be trained to help me find my car, um, so I can get in the car. Being a young woman in today's society, risky being out defenseless, that whole thing. Um, so she's also kinda there for protection, and also, people know if she's laying on me and I'm sitting in the floor, I'm obviously having a problem, and they can, you know, identify and help me out, so.
That's very cool. I want a
Mhm.
service dog. I don't know. I
Yes.
wonder if it could detect my atrial tachycardia episode. That'd be cool.
Probably can.
I
That would
guarantee it can,
phenomenal.
whenever they train for that, so what they do is whenever you're having your atrial tachycardic episodes, this sounds really weird, but you take, like, Q-tips and you swab the inside of your cheeks, um, and you take those and freeze it, because that pheromone that comes off of your, like, mouth and stuff is associated with your atrial tachycardic episodes, and so then they train them to go and find that and, like, touch it and stuff, so that whenever you're having those episodes, they can pinpoint what it smells like.
That's so cool. I need one
Yeah.
now.
Come on. Come on.
That's amazing. So she's still in training though. She can't do it yet,
Yes,
or how does okay.
she so she can do some of it, she's only 10 months old, though, so we're still working on her public access stuff, um, but after she does her good citizens test, which is, like, her main obedience stuff, she'll start working on public access, and that's whenever she gets, rights, basically. She gets rights as an animal to, go into public places and all of that. Um, and to get public access certified, she has to demonstrate 2 tasks. It doesn't matter what the tasks are. So, say she doesn't quite have down the, smelling, like, if I'm gonna have a fainting episode yet. She doesn't have to do that task. She could do mobility where she gets under my legs and puts them up to get the blood to go back to my head. Um, she can do, like, going to find someone, finding my car, anything like that. Um, so once she gets that done, then she'll be good to go. And they expect that to happen hopefully by the end of this year, for sure.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I love how you said that she can help protect you and like getting in your car and
Mhm.
stuff. And it's like
Yeah.
she's very scary looking. So like she definitely would be able to like fight off people.
Oh, yeah. No, terrifying little teddy bear face. She does look a little human-like, I've heard a lot of people say to me, so I guess that's scary enough.
That's funny. That's awesome. That's really interesting about the swabbing with the Q-tip though. I think
Mhm,
that my my tachycardia episodes don't happen like often enough that I don't know if it
mhm,
would be necessary to have
mhm.
a dog, but I think it just regardless, it would be cool. Um,
Yeah. I think it's
I
just a
can
safety measure too for people with
yeah,
cardiac conditions. Mhm.
yeah, so I wonder if maybe that's something that I should be looking into, or I don't know,
Mhm.
I always I loved animals and dogs, so I think that would be fun just
Yeah.
to especially train one and stuff like that to be able to do that would be very cool, so that's amazing.
Yeah.
I kinda wanted to switch topics a little bit, um,
Yeah.
because Ashley and I have both been pretty active in, like, the sports realm. Like, I played basketball
Mhm.
all throughout high school growing up, and Ashley's done cheer, through college. Um, what have you been able to do being active and stuff?
So I played volleyball for about 7 years up until my last pacemaker replacement, and because of the full sternotomy, I just kinda got behind, in all of that, and so I couldn't go back to playing volleyball due to that fact, but I did play for a while. I played all the way around. I never really had any problems. Um, only problems I would have was like the chest tightness from like fatigue and just like inflammation and everything. Um, but that was really about it. And ever since I stopped playing volleyball, I go to the gym. I'm a big into weightlifting, like, I lift a lot, my mom used to lift weights pretty heavy, she looked like a bodybuilder essentially, so
That's cool. So,
yeah.
I mean, I feel like I kind of do the same thing. I've been cheerleading since freshman year of high school, and I just got done my senior season of my university cheer
Oh,
team.
wow.
So I've been competing for the last 8 years, and it was for me cheerleading at the time. I started it because it looked like it was the least physically demanding sport that I would be able to take on. So I did it,
You're leaning for me, it's the exact
and
opposite.
so I tried out. I mean, I tried out. I was like not very good when I
Uh-huh.
first started. But
Yeah,
I learned. So
yeah.
and then I just really liked it. And then I think every year it probably got like progressed. It got harder and harder just because I was moving up in skill. So there's a lot going
Mhm,
on. But I never felt like I wasn't able to do anything. And I never
mhm.
felt like I wasn't able to keep up with what was expected of me.
Yeah,
So that felt nice. And of course, everyone around me did know my condition. So it wasn't an issue if I had to take a break or sit out of something.
mm,
And people were very understanding about that, which I appreciated.
yeah,
And yeah, I love it. I love cheerleading. So I
yeah,
don't know what other sport I would have probably done if I didn't do that,
yeah.
honestly.
Well, my mom was a national or she was a volleyball coach for 24 years and then coached at the national level for, like, club volleyball teams, and so I feel like volleyball was
Okay.
kinda just like, do that." Um, but
Yeah,
it's a great
you
sport for me.
inherited the volleyball gene.
Yes.
That's good. I played in like middle school, but I was not very good. Then I tore my ACL, so we had to call it
It's
quits. But
it's more of a brain game as you get older, because you at a certain
I
point, you, like,
guess.
get the skill, but then you just have to learn how to, like, work people. You know what I mean?
With doing sports and stuff like that, how much do you rely on the pacemaker? Or just in general, how much do you rely on the pacemaker?
I, use my pacemaker 98% of the time. So, it is, like, completely in control of my heart all the time, basically. Whenever my pacemaker broke back in 2021, my heart rate dropped down into the low 30s, early, high 20s, and so that altogether, just kinda is, like, really telling about how much I rely on my pacemaker.
That's so crazy because, like, obviously, Ashley and I don't have pacemakers, and so I wonder about, like, the energy level for that because, like, I get tired more easy because or
Mhm.
easier just because I'm reliant on my heart, obviously, 100% of the time, so I'm wondering if that helps sustain your energy longer. Would you think it does, or
Yeah, so weird thing about pacemakers, they can program them to have you at a set time to, like, go to sleep at night. So, my pacemaker will start trending my heart rate downwards at around 8 p.m., it'll start trending it upwards at around 7. Does not mean that I, adhere to those times where I go to sleep and wake up every day. However, my energy levels throughout the day, because my pacemaker is so consistent, are great. They just start trending down in, the late nights and then the early mornings.
that's so weird that it can just be programmed. How does that can you, like, go in and change that easily? No, I wouldn't
Yeah,
assume. Really?
yeah, they can change it whenever they want. Same thing with my threshold. So my pacemaker or my heart rate isn't allowed to get over, I think it's 140, and it's not allowed to drop below 60 beats per minute. So I stay within that range at all time. And if I don't, my pacemaker really kicks in and like will make me skip beats to slow down my heart rate or will speed me up, just stuff like that.
How does that work in volleyball? Because when I play basketball, my heart rate is in the 140s almost every time.
my heart will go over 140, but then my pacemaker stops it and, like, makes it skip beats, so it slows down. Um,
Mm,
Man, you don't I mean, I don't really I didn't notice it when I was younger until I got my pacemaker replaced. I don't know if it's something with the leads, but now I can feel it whenever it does that. Um, and I've always been able to feel, like, a little vibration in my throat whenever it adjusts itself, even whenever I had it back, like, from 5 to 14. It's just a little, like, vibration feeling, and I'm like, "Okay, my pacemaker's doing something, not sure what." And I do it too whenever they interrogate my pacemaker,
mm.
in office. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Eh
That's not good.
Um,
yeah, and it's probably because my pacemaker is epicardial, so my leads are attached to the outside of my heart instead of put on the inside, and so you feel kind of the electrical pulses a little bit more probably.
that's so cool that I'm so glad that you were able to, you know, play sports and be active and
Yeah.
the pacemaker didn't have to. It seems like it even helped in situations, especially with sustaining
Mhm.
your energy levels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wish that I could have more energy throughout the day, but I wonder, um, I wonder how much different I would feel with the pacemaker, but also we don't have any plans for that at all, obviously,
Yeah.
but,
Don't get one
um,
until you need one because 'cause you'll need replacements.
yeah, I would rather not have another major open heart surgery anytime soon, but
Mhm.
when we had talked like a week ago, we had talked a little bit how your cardiology appointments look a little bit different than ours, and I kinda wanted to hear what do those days look like when you go see your cardiologist?
Yeah. So I see my cardiologist every 6 months. One appointment is just her, and then my other appointment is her and my Fontan team. And so this past time, I was there for 7.5 hours. Um, I saw my cardiologist, my hepatologist, psychologist, a social worker, a neurologist, gastroenterologist, pulmonologist. Um, and I had my echo done, I had an EKG done, had a bunch of blood work done, and then I also spoke to one of the people with the research team about participating in a clinical trial.
Actually, I don't know about you, I haven't met with the
Oh god.
Fontan team before, I've only ever
Mhm.
met with my cardiologist, so that just sounds super overwhelming. Why are you there for 7.5 hours?
It's them kinda, like, doing their interviews, seeing if I need resources, also because it's like a Fontan day, so the Fontan team is meeting with multiple different, children with
Mhm.
Fontans, and so the Fontan nurse, she like is basically a charge nurse and, tells the doctors, like, "Hey, like, they are open in this room, they're ready for you." And so it's kind of like waiting on whatever provider you need to see next. And then also, obviously, your echo already takes an hour. But each individual interview, they're like, "Okay, like, this is the medicines, how are you feeling with this? Has this improved? Has this gotten worse?" All of those things. Um,
That's wait, your echo takes an hour?
it takes 45 minutes to an hour, depending. Uh-oh.
Yes,
Ashley, how long does your echo take?
usually about the same.
Mhm.
Um,
I think
I
they're speed
mean,
running yours.
They might be, because 'cause I'm like, I may be in there for maybe 20 minutes.
Mm-mm.
Like,
mhm.
I don't even have time to put on a Disney movie, it's just they just do it, and then I'm out of there. That's so crazy. Um, are you doing anything else besides an echo that day?
EKG, blood work, and just meeting with all of my different doctors, and then I also fill out, a psychoneurological survey that basically they put into a database, and it assesses, like, do I make friends well? Do I do well in school? All of this stuff because a lot of kids with, our conditions grow up with learning disabilities because after being on bypass, kills their brain cells and all of that. Um, so they go and check that. Like, I was IQ tested when I was really young, um, because of those reasons. I was checked for dyslexia and all of that. Um, so they kinda just get a full circle of, like, what's the best care plan for me at this time?
Okay. That's that's so interesting. Actually, you are switching care this year. Are you I know yeah, you're worried about are
I'm
you
scared.
do you have a Fontan team? Do you know? Like, are you gonna meet with someone like this? Or
So, yeah, I mean, I grew up with specific Fontan providers, and what I do is kind of similar to Halle. I go in the hospital usually early in the morning, usually like 6 a.m. I have an echo. Usually I have two MRIs. I have a cardiac MRI and a liver MRI, and they usually take like 2 hours each. I get like the little contrast and all the things. And then I have labs and an EKG. And then I do an exercise stress test for part of my workup.
Yeah, I do
So
that sometimes.
yeah, I spend the whole day at the hospital, and then I usually spend the night at like a hotel in the city because my doctors are in Philadelphia. So I'm
Mm,
outpatient, but I say a hotel, whatever. And the next day I come back and just talk about all the results and all the things. And they look at me, they assess me. I don't see any of my actual doctors on the day that all my tests are being done. I talk about it with
interesting.
them the next day after they look over everything. And as long as I look good on paper and I look good in person, usually nothing has to be done or changed. We talk about my meds, we talk about what I'm doing, like activity wise, making sure I'm able to keep up with my body, stuff like that. So, for my entire life, I've been at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. I'm 22 years old now. So, the last time I was there, I was 21. I had my birthday. So now I'm getting kicked out and put into the adult CHD program for whatever that would look like. I'm under the impression that the Children's Hospital and the Penn Medicine adult CHD care work very closely with each other. So I think it will be kind of a smooth transition, but I'm also a little bit nervous about it because it is a whole brand new environment for me. It's a whole new care team than who I'm used to and who I've grown up with my whole life. And I'm definitely sad that I'm not going to get to watch like Bluey or watch Nemo during my Echo anymore. So like, but in all realness, it's like bittersweet because I'm
we'll figure this out.
leaving the care team that pretty much raised me, and but I'm also able to kind of move forward in my life and see what my future might look like beyond the care that they can provide at the children's hospital and seeing what new things might be available to me.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
I don't know what you guys are doing wrong at your cardiology visits, but mine take less than 3 hours. So,
Maybe
like,
it's what are you doing wrong, Cole?
Or just more
maybe, it
contact.
might be actually. Um,
Might be a you problem.
but, like, I go there at, like, 9 in the morning, I don't have to get up anytime early, and it's in my hometown, and I have a 20-minute echo, and then I wait for, like, about an hour,
Uh-huh.
for my cardiologist to get done with seeing other people, watching my echo, then coming in with notes, and then I talk with him for, like,
Yeah.
a half hour, and then I'm out of there.
So you
So
What
do
I
all in
find
one
really
day.
interesting oh,
That's crazy.
go ahead, Halle.
what I find really interesting is that my cardiologist told me that statistically, like, men do worse with, Fontan circulation than women. So I find it interesting that Ashley and I have had what seems to be like more problems with liver, Fontan associated liver disease, like all of that stuff. Obviously, you have your atrial tachycardia episodes, but that's really odd to me.
I have no idea what I'm doing right, but
I know.
I am glad
Congrats.
that I don't have anything else going on right
Yeah.
now, but, I know that's so interesting. I feel like if I was outpatient at, Michigan, though, like, we have gone back up to CS-MOT at Michigan, and
Mhm.
we've talked to the cardiologist up there. That was, like, a full day because that was, like they haven't seen me in, like, 10 years, so that was, like, echo took a while, and then talking to the cardiologist took a long time as well, but, like, um I don't remember that day being over, 5 hours or anything, so
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, and so like Ashley was saying that she does a stress test, sometimes I will do those, really just to like, I do one every other year, I believe. Um, I hate doing
I
stress
still haven't
tests, though, because you haven't done one, have you?
I still haven't done one.
I
So
know a few
odd. I
people
feel
who
like
haven't
it's
done one, so it's not just you, I promise.
Okay, because 'cause I'm like I remember bringing it up on a panel down in Florida, and everyone was, like, shocked. I just saw, like, people's mouths drop open. I was like, "This is so weird that I've never
Yeah.
even heard of it." And so and when I go see my cardiologist in, like, 2 weeks, I am bringing it up. I'm like, "What is this? Why haven't I ever done it?
Mhm.
Can I do it?
mhm.
Because I'm very interested now." And you guys
Yeah.
make it sound like it's so terrible, and I'm like,
Don't
I wanna try it
It's
now. I
it
participate.
wanna try it
You
though, I'm
don't
so
have
interested
yeah.
now though.
no. Mm-mm.
Ashley,
They
do
make
you
you
do
run on a
yours
treadmill.
okay, you do yours on the treadmill. I was told I couldn't do mine on
Well,
a bike ever because of my pacemaker.
you can't have it on a bike?
Mm-mm, I do mine on a treadmill.
When I was little, they used to put me on a treadmill, and then as I grew, they now want me on the bike. So I've been on the bike since I was, like, a teenager. But when I
No,
was a
they
little
told me
kid, they put me on the treadmill with all the equipment, and they'll have, like, a EKG going on you the whole
mhm.
entire time,
Yeah,
and
got this big mask on.
they put the pluggers over your nose and got that thi I have
Yes.
a picture of
Oh,
it,
that's the worst
actually,
part. Um,
'cause
yeah, I
it's
can't be on
It
the
so
sounds awful.
complex for no reason.
yeah. Well, and
It
they
is,
tell me before the test every time, they're like, "Hey, Fontan patients are not made to pass this test, especially on the treadmill." Um,
which is crazy because I do great every
yeah,
time.
and so they just tell me they're
Hey,
like, "Hey, like, as
yeah.
soon as you start, like, blacking out and stuff, just grab the handlebars and we'll stop." And I'm like, "Okay."
Oh my gosh. They tell me
Yeah.
my oxygen capacity looks like someone who's not a Fontan, like someone who's normal circulation, which
Wow, nice.
which is weird because they're always like looking at like my doctors always tell me like looking at you on paper, you sound like you should be sick, but when I see you in person, like you look great and you're doing all these things.
Yeah.
And so I just
I've
think
got
that's so like
yeah, I've
weird.
gotten that a lot too, and I'm sure you 2, uh, both of you have also gotten that, like, on paper, we look really, really
Yeah.
bad, but whenever they come in and see us, that's why I was saying, like, whenever the medical school students come in, they're like, "What in the world?" Because textbooks say
Yeah.
otherwise.
Mhm. Anyways, here's my picture of me during my stress test. This was like 2 years ago, maybe.
Oh, man, that
I
looks
don't know if
awful.
I yeah, I had
Yikes.
you
Like,
have the little sweat headband on and everything.
mhm. I've had that
That's
before too.
so crazy.
Yeah, I have a
Hallie,
picture oh, go ahead.
I'm interested this is kinda changing stuff, but I'm interested to know your oxygen saturation levels. What do those sit,
Okay,
like, at?
um mine are usually 93 to 94 most of the time. I have
Okay.
had it drop down to 88 before whenever I'm sick. Um, but I feel like 93 to 94 is on a really good day. Recently, it's been more 92, especially as I got taller. So if I was shorter, it'd probably be really good. Probably be like 97.
Is that ever something that you guys think about? Because to me, like, realistically, like, you're supposed to be above 95, like,
Mhm.
getting to 100. But, like, for me, like, I sit here at, like, my range has always been, like, 88 to 92, and I feel
Mhm.
great. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't understand, like, what would it how would it be different for me if I had normal oxygen capacity? And would that really, like, make a big change on my body? Because I feel awesome right now. Sitting at the low 90s, like, I'm doing so well, in my
I think
opinion, but other people look at me and they're like, "Are you okay?" But,
yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know,
it's
it's
just,
just
like,
me.
the idea that your body has adapted to it, and so, like, you've
Mhm.
found this new version of homeostasis that, like,
Yeah,
it's not like you're like, "Okay, this
I
is just
mean,
how it is, like, it's not gonna get any
yeah,
better."
no other
So
choice.
I guess, like, right now, that's probably because I feel great too a lot of the time.
Mhm.
Um, and I've heard a lot of other people with Fontans, like, they feel great a lot of the time, even with their saturations being so low. So I think it's just because we know our body knows what normal is for us, and so it just decides not to freak out. It's like, we're good.
I always have wondered, like I actually just checked mine, like, earlier today. I don't know why. I decided I was like
Oh,
I was talking about it with my girlfriend, and I was like, um, I was like, "Oh, I should just check it." I just checked it on my watch real quick, and it was, like, at 96 today. And I've always wondered, like, if it was at 100, like, would I have more energy? Would I feel stronger, or would I don't know how much it really affects, like because there are days where it's, like, lower, like, low 90s, it'll just sit at
Mhm.
90 where I can definitely feel more tired or, like, emotionally off and just, like, mentally, like, um but then on days like this where it's higher, I'm not sure what I'm doing right, but I feel better, and kinda to round it out here, though, I'm interested to know, like, um, so you wanna get into pediatric cardiology, is that right?
Yes.
So what does that look like schooling-wise and stuff?
So, I am a first semester sophomore, technically by my credit hours. Um, so I would finish undergrad, and then I would go to medical school for 4 years. After that, I do a pediatric residency for 3 years, and then I do a cardiac fellowship for 2 years, and then I'd be an attending in pediatric cardiology.
Okay, so why do you wanna be a pediatric cardiologist?
I really want more it was like glitched for a second. I really want more research, for, Fontans and CHD in general, like, I mean, 1 in 100 babies are born with congenital heart disease and, billions of dollars are allocated to cancer research each year, and I think this year it was 43 million, maybe it was last year. Um, and so that's a big difference considering the prevalence of, congenital heart disease. And I think too, I've had problems with cardiologists in the past not listening to me. I think, like, just being able to have somebody who understands where you're coming from and, really can empathize with you makes it possible for you to be more open with them and just kinda, like,
mhm.
have a good experience overall.
I mean, I think for me, like, going into nursing school, what I really wanted to do was pediatric cardiology, but I and this is, like, a really, like this is kind of a sad perspective of it,
Mhm,
but what I was told because I don't know about you guys, but my cardiologist and I, like, we're very close. She is
mhm,
a nurse practitioner, so I
mhm,
see her and my, like, actual, like, attending whatever doctor, but,
mhm,
like, he's we're not BFFs. But me and my cardiac nurse practitioner, we're, like we're super close. She's raised me. So,
mhm,
when I first went into nursing school, in my mind, I wanted to do pediatric cardiology as well. And kind of like her approach and her perspective of it for me and telling me that as a heart patient to not go into that specialty
interesting.
because a lot of the people that I would be taking care of are the more sicker population of whatever these conditions might bring. So I was told that she's had patients before who have gone into nursing medicine and has told them the same thing because apparently it like has which I would imagine so, but it does have some emotional aspect on them
Yeah.
to experience these children who are having failure after failure and being there, but like being coming out of it and being on the healthier side. And it's very emotional and very sad. So that kind of like
Yeah.
is what turned me off. I would still love to take care of children and some medical aspect. I just don't think it would be that
Yeah.
because that can get sad really quickly.
Yeah.
So, but
I
it's
understand that
great that you got
completely.
to.
Yeah. I understand
I,
where she's coming from completely. I also think just hey, I also think just being in the medical field in general is gonna be a struggle for anyone no matter what, because especially
mhm,
with severe conditions like us, because you see other people who might not even have a heart condition, but have, cancer or, like, chronic
mhm,
kidney disease, like, anything like that, and just having failure after failure and knowing that, like, "Hey, you have a really bad condition too." I feel like, "Hey, calm down. You're okay." Sorry, she's freaking out. But I think it's would just kinda be like that in any sort of aspect,
mhm,
and obviously, I've had those thoughts too of like, "Okay, what if I get too emotionally attached?" and yada, 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 but
right.
at the end of the day, you've done as much as you can, and that's what you always
Mhm,
go back to, and I'm also, like, really big into my faith, so, like,
mhm.
I always trust that there's a plan and a purpose behind everything.
And I
Actually,
always think that.
we haven't really talked much about faith, and I know that
Mhm.
Come on,
um,
here.
you're very into it as well, so how has that helped both of you guys throughout your conditions?
I mean, I think for me, I've definitely experienced more of a presence in my life since I've become an adult and been more intentional and consistent with my faith. And I definitely think that the Lord put me where I am for a reason. And I think a lot of people who, like, when I'm talking about my career, I think that a lot of people, their reason why they want to be in the medical field has something to do with their own experience or a loved one's experience
Mhm,
that really draws them to want to serve others. So I feel like for me in my life, and I know the way I grew up and the way my family was affected, and the way that he kind of pulled us through that, I want to be able to do that for other people at any capacity with
mhm,
at that I'm able to. So I think for me, a lot of my goals, I'm very career driven, and it is definitely because of the faith that I have in my God being able to do this for me and then allowing me to go forward and serve other people.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Halle, I wanna hear your side of it as well. How does
Yeah.
your faith work with you?
So I would say when I was 14, like, obviously reality hits you of your condition whenever you're having a pretty major surgery and, things are getting taken away from you, like, I couldn't play volleyball anymore, like, I I couldn't go to school for a certain amount of time, all of this stuff, and I would found myself really angry with God. Um, my Mimi, who passed away in October, she had a double lung transplant, and she had been sick for 40 something years, with various conditions, and she was always very spiritual and stuff, and so whenever I discussed with her kind of, like, what I was going through and what I was thinking and, like, "Why would he do this to us?" All of that, she reminds us or she said that he reminds us, that our weaknesses can be our greatest gifts, and as I've gotten older, I have definitely seen that in my life because I've had a lot of people come up to me, um, after I've given my testimony in, like, my college ministry group, being like, "Hey, like, I had a
Mhm,
lot of anger with God. Hey, I grieved my, grandpa's health a lot," um, all of that stuff, and I've been able to make an impact on them, and then also just being able to disciple people, knowing kinda what it's like to feel to 'cause once my pacemaker broke, obviously my heart rate dropped way, way low, and I couldn't do anything, I get to discuss with people what it feels like to, like, know you're dying, essentially, and, how to find comfort in that fact, and so it's been very impactful having my condition and my, um, faith correlate so much because my weakness ends up being my greatest gift in that aspect.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. I know actually we haven't really discussed that much, but I think that's amazing. Um,
Yeah.
I kinda wanted to start doing this where after at the end of each podcast asking a question to all of our guests. Ashley answered it last time because that was our first episode. Um, but I wanted to ask it to you today, Hallie, like, is, just what advice would you give to a patient who has a CHD or a parent who is going through the surgeries with a kid with CHD? What advice would you give them just to,
Mhm.
you know, be more hopeful or whatever it might be?
Yeah. I would say, be calm and be patient. Um, things go as they like, as God or the universe intends them to be. Um, that, you can always be doing something more to improve your health. You can always be exercising more, always drink more water, something very simple to improve your health. Um, and I think you just really need to advocate for yourself and talk to your doctors. Parents need to advocate for their children. Um, if I wasn't advocated for, I would have probably been a lot worse off. Because I did get sent home after that major stroke after my Glenn procedure, and they didn't find the old blood clots in my frontal lobe until afterwards. Um, and so I say advocate for yourself. Have a support system, I think is really important. My mom had a great support system with other parents in the hospital. Obviously, I didn't at the time as a kid because um, couldn't really be around any of them. But I think it's just important to keep moving forward and take things as they come.
That's great. That's fantastic. Really, thank you for joining us today. I'm sorry
Yeah,
about all the
absolutely.
technical
No, it's
issues, but
okay.
we'll get that worked out. We're still very new to this, so,
No,
um, but
absolutely.
yeah, it was amazing having you on. I hope that we can definitely do, like, a part 2 at some point. I definitely think we have more to
Yeah.
talk about, so but yeah, that was awesome. That was a great conversation, guys.